Just for
yes,
the...
so we have to say, good morning!
There you go. Good
oh, wait a minute now, come on, y'all, come on now. All right, good to see you. Wait a minute. Good morning!
Good morning!
I am so glad to see you all.
I'm so glad you're back.
You made it?
Give her a hand.
You made it? Yep, we're going. You made it?
She had a great summer, but she's back.
Yes,
So,
yes.
great.
Or a great summer, and I'm back.
That's right, yeah, that's right, and you're back. So, you know this. Come on, clap with me. Come on, folks. Woo. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. You're not alone. You're not alone. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Keep moving on. Keep moving on. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. All right, so this is the call and response part, y'all. So we'll do the call and please respond. Can you do it? All right. Here we go. Lift up your eyes. Lift up your eyes. Don't you despair. Don't you despair. Look up ahead. Look up ahead. The path is there. The path is there. God put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. I know you're scared. I know you're scared. I'm scared too. And I'm scared too. But here I am. But here I am. Right next to you. Right next to you. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. You gotta put one foot in front of the other and lead with love. One foot in front of the other and lead with love. Welcome to church in Ocean Park. Woo! Woo! Welcome. And that was a song by Melanie DeMore, fabulous song leader, songwriter. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Janet Gollery McKeithen. I'm the minister here at the church in Ocean Park, and I welcome you to this wonderful, fabulous place. We are multi-faith, so you're welcome if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Wiccan, if you're Christian, if you're Buddhist, if you're spiritual but not religious, if you're atheist, or something else, or some combination altogether. We welcome you if you're single, married, widowed, divorced, gay, transgender, very rich, or living on the edge. We welcome if you're fidgety, or if you're very, very focused. We welcome you if you just woke up, forgot to eat your cereal, or you just got out of jail. We don't care if you're more religious than the Pope, or if you haven't been to the mosque since before the pandemic. We welcome soccer moms, tree huggers, latte sickers, vegans, and junk food eaters. We welcome you if you're in recovery or if you're still addicted. We welcome you if you're having problems or you woke up soaring on the wings of eagles, or a little bit of both. We welcome you if you like organized religion or if you're repelled by it. We welcome you if you're inked, pierced, or both. We especially welcome you if you're standing in the need of prayer this morning, or if you've been hurt by a religious community and are here very tentatively. We hope that you'll find this to be a place of healing and a place of hope. We welcome browsers, trousers, frills, simplicity. We welcome especially you and you and you. This is a unique multi-religious community that's focused on helping to create a more equitable and sustainable world for all. This morning, we're actually celebrating so many different things, but there are two things that I just like to mention. This August 25th is actually a day called Abain, marking the end of a 40-day mourning period after Ashura for Shia Muslims. It marks the day that God delivered the Israelites from the Egyptian Pharaoh by parting the Red Sea where they could safely cross. And August 26th is Krishna Janmashtami, annual Hindu festival celebrating Krishna. It includes the reading of religious texts, the reenactments of his life, celebrating with dance. It's celebrated primarily in India. So we acknowledge that those 2 days are happening this week as well. But this morning we're celebrating stories. We'll hear a bit from a brand new book called What Goes Around, and then I will say a few words about stories. But we want to begin by acknowledging that we are right now sitting on stolen land. This is the land that was violently taken by the Chumash, the Kish, and the Tongva peoples. We acknowledge the harms of genocide, forced assimilation, enslavement, and destruction at the hands of U.S. colonial settlerism. We also acknowledge that our communities and our country was built on the backs of people who were stolen from Africa, placed into bondage, and forced into labor. We acknowledge that we benefit from that labor that has never been repaid. In our acknowledgement, let us commit ourselves to healing by helping to create a more just and equitable world by changing the way we do things that we see as normal, but that are actually systemically hurting people. We all have biases, and it takes intentionality to build compassion for people whose lives are different from ours. At the church in Ocean Park, we seek to tear down barriers and unjust systems and build new relationships of healing and love. This morning, you'll hear from a variety of people. If you hear from something you disagree with, know that they do not speak on behalf of the whole of the church in Ocean Park, even if that person is me. Your voice is just as important as whoever it was that just spoke. Thank you for being a part of this community this morning. Thank you for helping break barriers and build more compassion. Thank you for helping bend the arc towards justice. We begin with a Thich Nhat Hanh chant. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now, to center ourselves. We've all come from who knows where, all over the place. And so let's take a deep breath and center ourselves with the chant. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. I have arrived, I am home, in the here and in the now. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park. We're glad that you're here. I'm first going to introduce him. We're going to introduce Mitch. Mitch Greenhill is with us this morning. We're going to introduce Mitch. He was born in Brooklyn and raised mainly in the Boston area. When he talks, you'll find out. Mitch gravitated to Club 47 during his high school years. He cut his musical eyeteeth at that important center for folk and traditional music. Mitch's new book is called What Goes Around. Some of us have read his first book. This is his second book. It's just been released. It's a novel set in the music scene of the 1970s, and Kirkus Reviews says, it's a well-paced, gritty, and illuminating look back with an intriguing cast of characters. So Mitch is going to read a brief reading from that book now, and then we'll go on to a song, and then I'll share a little bit about stories as well. Welcome, Mitch Greenhill.
Thank you. Back when we were school kids, one of the assignments was what I did on my summer vacation. So these days it's more like what I did on my pandemic. And I had an active pandemic. I put out a CD and 2 books. The first book, as Janet mentioned, is kind of a musical memoir. It's called Raised by Musical Mavericks, Recording Life Lessons from Pete Seeger, Lightning Hopkins, Doc Watson, and Reverend Gary Davis. And it basically is a tribute to these various powerful mentors of mine, the ones I mentioned and some others. And then people started saying to me, well, you know, I mostly knew you in the 70s in your rock and roll days. Why don't you write another book about that? So I started. That's how I started with... But I found that it wasn't working, so it worked much better if I turned these into fictional characters, and that's what Goes Around is about. It's about the music scene in the 70s. It was a time when we had to kind of face, the 60s were so optimistic, it seemed like so easy to do all sorts of things, and in the 70s we had to figure out how to earn a living and a bunch of other difficult tasks. So, and then I created these fictional characters, and as God found out with Noah, when you create these characters, they sometimes make choices that drive you nuts. And so that was the case. This is brief passage gives the backstory on one of the characters. The 2 characters in this are Angie and Reed. And early in the book, they have a meet cute during the People's Park uprising of 1969. Angie was with the Black Panthers. She's fleeing a factional dispute, and Reed is trying to get to a recording session. The next day finds Angie and Reed driving down the Big Sur coast, heading for Los Angeles and Reed's apartment in Venice Beach. She looks to her right at the ocean far below, where waves lap up against a rocky shore. Down there, a lone otter swims on its back while chomping on an abalone. Higher up, near the winding highway that the van is cautiously navigating, scrub oaks and sycamores cling precariously to the wind-swept shore. She turns left and looks at Reed, still trying to figure him out, wonders if she made the right decision to travel with him, or was she yet again acting impulsively, as when she jumped into his van and as when she joined the recording session. And she looks back at the built-in bed where they made love last night. It was so sweet and so intense and so inevitable after the recording session. The intimacy of that moment made everything before it seem like foreplay and made everything after seem like fate. But now, a few hours later, as the sun cuts through Big Sur's thick fog, Angie realizes she's in a car with a man whom she only just met. Yes, they communicated wonderfully yesterday in the recording session, making music, and last night making love. But now, no matter how deeply she intuitively feels that she knows the guy, it's time to be practical, time to learn more about him. So she begins, I've told you about myself, my time at Mills College studying with Subotnick, my work at the Black Panthers free breakfast program, my days with Sly and the family. Now, what about you? What brought you from wherever you started to a weird recording session that you saved from a bunch of sloppy hippies? Reed chuckles. You, babe, saved that session. I just hitched a ride on your fast-moving freight train. She smiles. Okay, compliment accepted, but now, spill. Reed takes a deep breath and launches into his story. I was a math major at UCLA on track to a career in my dad's company, tax preparation. Helping people avoid taxes, actually. Meanwhile, through my sophomore year, the week before semester finals, I decided to go to the Ren Fair. The what? The Renaissance Fair, where people pretend like they're living like 400 years ago with jousts and pumpkin pants and funny pouches. It's news to me, but go on. Well, anyway, I went, and just to make sure I got the full vibe, I dropped a tab of acid as I walked through the entry arch. And then, boom, I got busted. Because the acid? No, that was cool. I got busted because I wasn't in period costume. Nobody told me you had to come dressed like you lived in the Renaissance. Oh, God. So there I was, spiraling into an acid trip, roped to a line of other screw-ups. They threw me in the goddamn stocks, wooden ankle cuffs, for a fucking hour. You poor nutty kid. Then after they let me loose, somebody gave me some Renaissance clothes, pointed me along a dusty trail, and said, "Proceed thee yonder." By now I was really tripping. By the time I rounded the first bend, I had left the 20th century behind and was, in my mind anyway, in the honest-to-God Renaissance. Go on. The first person I met was a girl, a fair damsel in a flowing white dress. A ring of flowers adorned her hair. She gave me an angelic smile, kissed me on the cheek, and went on her way. Then I was approached by a knight in shiny armor on a giant steed. He wished me good day, sire, and doffed his helmet, said he was in a hurry to compete in a joust. But get this, around the next bend, I met the composer Josquin des Prés. Angie, not quite sure how to take this turn in the story, nonetheless plays along. Ooh, I love des Prés. She remembers the composer from her Renaissance music course at Mills. We had an amazing conversation. "Methinks thou art a musician," he began. "Well, I don't know," I replied. "I think I'm involved with numbers." "Just so," he said, and went into this long but wonderfully clear riff on Pythagoras. That was a name I knew from geometry, the triangle and all that. But des Prés hit me to Pythagoras' theories of musical intervals, how the overtones are all interconnected through harmonic relationships. By the time des Prés bade me farewell and disappeared, music, which had been a hobby that I loved, had become my life's calling. In that moment, I went from an amateur to a wannabe professional. Angie responds with a low whistle. Well, that's a story you don't hear every day. I didn't know I was riding with such a time traveler. But as for the amateur to professional riff, I imagine you know that an amateur is one who does it for love. It's what the word means. We don't want to lose that. Right on, it's a calling, don't you think, or a practice like yoga or meditation. Totally agree. Anyway, long story short, I spiraled into music and out of college. I never got to my exams, barely got back to UCLA just long enough to grab my things. You dropped out of time? Reed ponders the question before venturing. Seems like I dropped into time. Time became a different beast, less rigid, more open. Okay, but you were totally with me at the session yesterday when we were stressing the two-and beat. You seemed very precise. Yes, but when we reached that place where we were in the zone, you know where I mean, I forgot all about the two-and everything else. I've been there only a few times, but that's what I'm aiming for. That's why I'm a musician. Maybe I'm approaching a synthesis of my past's two poles, precise time and open time. Synthesis, that's a word we used in the Panthers. Baby, you may be a Marxist after all.
Thank you. That was great. I've also read his first book. So interesting about all the great people he met at his house, these great musicians. Okay. I want to teach you a song. This came to me from Donia Durlam. You know her, Donna, Donia Durlam. She brought this song. She went to Women's Alliance Camp, which is some of us went up there in the 80s. And she learned this song from a Diné woman, Navajo, but Diné is the name of that culture. And she learned it from a woman named Shakwosh. And there's a story to it, and I'll teach it to you, the song. But the story is that it's about resilience in the face of adversity. So if the image is a tree that's deeply rooted in the earth while big giant winds come, but the tree stays rooted. So like the first thing, we're going to say something twice, and I'll show you. Then we're going to say something twice.
And then the last part is we're going to say something 3 times. That is when the wind is blowing and the tree stays rooted because it's grounded. So, okay, so I'll teach you these words. Oh, nay. Can you say? Oh, nay. Oh, nay. Again? Oh, nay. And then we go, oh, nay, oh, nay. Sha, noon. Just like noon. Sha, noon. Can you say it? Sha, noon. Great. And then the third time with the 3, when the wind is blowing, hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Okay, so it goes like this. Oh, nay. I wish you were standing up so you could kind of stamp your feet like that. If you can, if you're willing, let's stand up. It's good to move. Remember, my fellow elders, always good to move. Oh, nay. One more time. Oh, nay. Now we're going to say Shanoon. Shanoon. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot that part. Shanoon. Oh, yeah. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Oh, nay. Oh, nay. Shanoon. Shanoon. Oh, yeah. Shanoon. Whoa, yeah. Now the wind is blowing. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Oh, nay. Oh, nay. Shanoon. This is the last time we're going to do it. So, Shanoon. Whoa, yeah. Shanoon, whoa, ya, hey, 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 ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na, hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na, hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya. Let's do a fade out. Hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na, hey, hey, ya, ho, ya, ya, hey, na. Thank you.
Thank you, Louise, and thank you, Mitch. Yes, this morning is about stories. There were some stories this week. Am I right? Anybody hear stories this week? Sometime in the evening? Some of you saw them at the convention. They had some stories. There were some stories. Stories help you understand. Help you understand the people, help you understand the world. They can give you new perspectives. They can be real, they can be moving, but they can make a point. True stories can be painful, they can be sad, uplifting and hopeful. They can be nuanced and uncategorized. I have 2 stories to tell you this morning. You may have heard both of them already. If you have, I apologize ahead of time, but they're going to be different today. Even if you've heard it before, try to figure out what the difference is this morning. The first is about an elephant. And the reason you may have heard this before is because it's 2,500 years old. It's a parable South Asians have been sharing about the quest for spiritual truth. But I think it's also a parable about the quest for knowledge about what's going on in the world right now. There are, of course, slightly different versions. After 2,500 years, I hope so. Told over and over again. One is that an elephant comes into the town of a group of people who don't know, have never seen an elephant before, and they are not able to see at this time either. So they come up to the elephant, they're all around, gathered around the elephant, they don't know what it is. One of them touches the ear and says, "Oh, I think it's a fan. I think what we have in front of us is a fan." And another one touches the leg and goes up and goes, "Oh, it's a tree. It's a tree." And another one touches the trunk and goes, oh, it's a snake. And one at the very back end touches the tail and says, it's a rope. It's a rope. And the guy in the middle is trying to budge it, and it's a wall. It's a wall. You can't move this thing. And another one says, oh, it's sturdy and smooth, maybe like a spear holding on to the tusk. They do each not have the full story, but they each have part of the truth, right? Bruce Epperly wrote a book called The Elephant is Running. He was one of the people I was lucky enough to interview on my sabbatical. I loved that book. He talks about updating this story of the elephant, having the people wear blindfolds, because what they and what we can understand about the world is due to our experience, our culture, and sometimes due to our own choice. The truths we have received, some from the religions of our childhood, can both inspire and limit our perspectives of the world and our perceptions. We have also chosen to accept certain facts and certain truths, maybe unaware of their limitations. Maybe even at times we've seen our faith traditions or the way we look at the world as the only true or maybe the most direct path to human wholeness. But there's another update that Bruce makes, which I find particularly helpful in describing relationships with the holy or relationships with events in the world. And that is that elephants move throughout life, and they change. Elephants change. And as we move through life, we also move, and we also change. So as we change, we are experiencing things differently. And the thing we are experiencing differently is also changing. We're moving, we're changing, and they're moving, and they're changing. So if we hold too tightly to that ear that we think is a fan and we don't let go, we can have problems. If we are so set on how we see or experience or understand God or the sacred, if we see how we see or experience situations in the world, there are problems. The situations are changing, and hopefully we are too. So why are we sometimes so stuck? Determine that the first way we saw that thing is the way that it is, no matter what new information we receive. Sometimes we don't allow ourselves to receive the new information because it will upset our perspective, which we have dug deep into the ground. It's like we walked in the mud in the rain and got our feet stuck. And then the sun came out and baked that ground and we couldn't move our feet. We know what we believe, and it doesn't matter what facts you show us. And we all do this. The elephants move. We move. We can choose to get out of the mud before it sets, or we can stay there no matter what. Here's a second story. When I was in my early teens, when I was still a part of a United Methodist youth group, before I rebelled and left, so it was early in my teens, our youth group was scheduled to sing at another Christian youth group in Escondido. We were so excited to be going there because they looked so cool. So my youth group, this ragtag group of long hair hippie types, and their incredibly funny leader, the most Christian man I've ever met in my entire life, a funny man of immense integrity. We all walked in with our leader. So excited. We've seen their arms around each other. We see how they sway back and forth. They dress like us. They look like hippies. They look like rebels. They shopped at the same thrift stores as us. They weren't concerned about the hair on their heads or the hair on their legs. It was all wild like ours. The way they liked it. The way we liked it. They didn't wear makeup, probably no deodorant, au natural. We were just the same as them. We were so glad to be there, so happy. We came in, we sat on the floor, so excited. We sang one of our most favorite Strathy songs. We belted it out. We sang at the top of our lungs, so smiling. And we finished, their leader had sort of a pitiful look on his face. And he said, You know, that was a pretty song and all, but it would be so much better if you actually knew who you were singing about. He was saying that we didn't personally know Jesus. It didn't take even a minute before my dad, oh yeah, I forgot to mention that our incredible leader, humble leader, was my dad. It didn't take long before my dad got up and left that building. I was right behind him. You do not say that to my dad, the most loving person on the planet. The rest of the group followed. This ragtag group of loving, long-hair hippie types, and they're incredibly funny. Most Christian man I'd ever met in my life had walked into a group that called themselves one-way Christians. Now, the title should have given us a hint. But somehow we missed that. And we thought we were walking into a loving group. We had seen their arms around each other singing and dressed like hippies and looked like rebels. They shopped at the thrift store like us. We thought they were like us. And they called themselves one-way Christians. And they put us down. They said we weren't good enough. We weren't Christian enough for them. We reached out in unity and they erected a barrier. You don't do that. That isn't what Christians do. That isn't what human beings do. As the fire of this election season moves forward, let us remember, you don't do that. You don't put people down. You don't treat people like they're not good enough. You don't put up barriers. How many barriers do you think we have up now? Let's see. Well, there's the big one. One group created a barrier. That's an obvious divide between white, able-bodied people, so-called Christians, who follow one leader, and then everybody else. That's one big barrier we got. And then there are many other divisions, and in some ways, rightly so, between other people. But are we like the one-way Christian group that says, if you only knew what we were talking about? Or can we muster a little humility? A little, maybe I don't know everything. A little, maybe I don't agree, but you aren't a complete dork and I can still hang with you? Can we muster a little bit that much? Can we realize that even we, as amazing and incredible as we are, I admit, especially I'm talking for myself, can we realize that we are only experiencing one part of the elephant? And that elephant is moving so fast, how could we know? Do we have the courage? Do we have the humility to leave room for one more piece of information to come in? There are reasons to be over the top enraged. In fact, I hope you are enraged. I'm enraged. I can't take it anymore. There's no end to the murders on our streets, in Gaza, in the Philippines, around the world. Yes, I'm enraged. When people are dying and it's our tax dollars, and make no mistake, it's happening all over the world. Not only in the places we hear about, but all over the blinking world. And yes, we are allowing it to happen. And does the whole system need an overhaul? Yes, it does. And can there also be hope in the midst of this? Yes, there can be. We can do something different. Here's something real different. We can know on one hand, the whole dang thing needs to be crushed. The whole system needs to go. And then we can be hopeful about what is happening. We can be inspired. We can be ready to work on this and be as angry as heck at some of it as well. We can be angry and we can be hopeful. We are complex as human beings. This is not a binary. Personally, I do believe that the soil the country was founded on is toxic. But at the same time, I am so hopeful right now. I am so moved and so happy and so hopeful. It's not binary. There can be anguish and there can be hope at the same time. The stories I heard this week were real. Some moved me to tears. Some raised me to my feet. I was clapping and no one was there. Real people, not pretend, one-way Christians. I am so much more hopeful now. Let's not be like the one-way pretend Christians of 1969. Let's not be like the ones who said basically, thank you for coming here. but you aren't as good as us. You don't know what you're doing. You're really not as passionate as we are. You haven't been enlightened yet. You need to know more and be more like us to truly, truly know. We would rather you leave if you're not going to be like us. Let's be some different new thing, not that. It may not even have a name, but it sure as heck has nothing to do with there being only one way. There are new possibilities out there, and I'm hopeful that this is a new day. I'm hopeful that we can do it, and we will do it. The elephant is bigger than we ever knew and that we will ever know. The future is open with new possibilities. Let's open the doors with humility and love and hope. Let's do this new thing. And our future really does depend on it. Thank you.
Jim Kahn was the minister. He became a friend and a political leader, I guess. He was married to Dale Unson, who was a director, and I started doing some work with her, including this very interesting piece called, I think it was called Boulevard's End, and it was a improvised weekly soap opera, meaning that the cast would gather a little before curtain time, and Dale would go to each character, and tell them what their objective was for the session, and they would improvise from there. And I wrote the theme song for the piece, and this is it. It's called Boulevard's End. Boulevard's End meaning our neighborhood, where all the boulevards end, Venice Boulevard, Wilshire Boulevard, so forth. No, I almost played it in the key that I used to play it in then, but I can't do that anymore. Boulevard's End, meet me for breakfast at Boulevard's End. We can be reckless, there's no need to pretend. You can break or you can bend. The atmosphere's tropical, repartee topical. Am I myopic or tickling the top of a trend? Hanging out at Boulevard's End. Boulevard's End, Venice to the Palisades, that's Boulevard's End. Designer barricades for you and a friend. Was it more than you had planned? The ocean is crashing and you're looking smashing. My tires they're slashing, so pick up your stash and let's wend our way back to Boulevard's End. On days problematical, you'll feel emphatical. Here your sabbatical reaches a radical bend, and you've moved into boulevards. Come again to Boulevard's End.
It's always good to hear Mitch again and see him, and it reminds me of my time in Harvard Square at Club 47. I've seen a number of shows up there, played a big part in my life, along with the Unicorn Cafe Coffee House. I met some number of folk singers and blues singers there. Everyone was easy to meet, and it was a real enriching time.
Yeah, I feel the joy, and I think the joy has returned as a theme, and for many of us oldsters, we experience tremendous joy in growing up and feeling freedom. And I'm hoping that the young people, and I'll be meeting a new crop tomorrow, can get a taste of that joy and create their own worlds rather than just being borrowed into a world already preformed. And this gives me great encouragement to hear these songs, to think about Dale, to think about our own creativity and all the stuff we did as teenagers in our 20s, and how that joie de vivre continues, carry on.
Thank you, Janet. I thought this was going to be about stories, but then you sort of pivoted to humility. And then I realized I don't know a lot of stories about humility. And we transmit our culture through stories. Like in Maureen's world, you deal with children, and now I have grandkids. And I think, how are we transmitting culture to our kids? But none of those stories have anything to do with uncertainty and humility. And so that's interesting, like brown bear, what do you see? There's, nowhere in there is there this humility that you're talking about. And so we just transmit a certainty within the culture because we want to make sure our kids get the message. And then we're left having to re-narrate, and that doesn't go well during the teenagers. No.
Sorry.
What I'm going to mention doesn't negate all the hopefulness and celebration, but it was a very sad note for me that the Palestinian American from Georgia did not get to tell her story at the convention. I'll just leave it at that.
Jerry Rubin.
Feel a little strange because I do want to communicate with other people, but I just find it pretty hard for me to sit down with a neo-Nazi type at the end of any boulevard for a cup of coffee. And I don't know what I'd be thinking or what I'd be trying to find out. I can't imagine any stories that they would tell that would touch my heart about why they are a neo-Nazi or a white supremacist. It's hard to imagine that without laughing a little bit, even though it's so sad. So I don't know how to handle that kind of stuff, but I just want to say that's a constant dilemma. And I see that at my bumper sticker table when people come up and they might use the N word to describe Obama still. And I'm not a psychologist and I can't tolerate that. And I just have to tell them to please just get away from my table, But maybe others can share some more insight on how to deal with that, or maybe I'm dealing with it in the best way. And just hope that something happens with them in their life, but I'm not the guy that can change them. And that's it.
Thank you, Jerry. And I think there is a difference between that big barrier that I talked about and the smaller barriers that we're constantly erecting. I mean, Jerry, I think you did the right thing personally. That's my personal opinion, is that sometimes that's the best thing is for them to leave. But we have a whole bunch of little barriers that we were erecting that we can deal with.
As an addendum to what Bob was saying, there's an African proverb that says, until the lion tells the story, we'll always believe the story of the hunter. I think what we're coming into is that opportunity where this nation, when you look at the inclusion that the Democratic Party exhibited, we may hear the story of the lion as it relates to all of this.
As I was listening to your sermon, I was thinking about the stories I think we tell ourselves and how that affects the collective story. And, just this past week, I had to, and this sort of goes to Joy Rubin's point, I had to basically no longer be friends with somebody that I had considered a friend my whole life, because this friend had wanted to insist on one narrative, one story about not only Kamala Harris, but Democrats on the whole, or those who are liberal. And after I had attempted many times to not only try and understand where she's coming from, and then of course speak like, well, this is what I'm willing to talk about, this is what I'm not willing to talk about, that's boundary setting. Sometimes other people want to hold, as you very aptly mentioned, people want to hold on to, the ear of the elephant, insisting it's a fan when it's moving and changing. And sometimes you have to say goodbye. It doesn't mean you don't love this person or care about them, but, well, I'm sorry, but we're on chapter 55 and you're on the introduction of a different book. So hopefully that helps you, Jerry. Also, I think Bonnie wanted to say something.
I'll try. I'm hoping that we of the liberal community can also avoid labeling, stereotyping. I hear people say, oh, those Republicans, I would never vote for Republicans. They this. No. There are some gentle-souled folks out there who label themselves Republican and who are open-minded, open to other opinions, willing to listen, who care. So may the liberal community be open-minded, hearts opened, and care.
Just speaking to the same topic there, for me, yes, we need to put boundaries, on conversations and even relationships sometimes, but the practice move for me, and it's not easy, is to never let go of the humanity of the other person and know that, oh, I too have rigidity. I too sometimes, spew negativity toward a whole group of people, in my heart, if not verbally. So for me, that's the juicy part.
Right, always remembering the humanity of other folks.
Yeah, this conversation reminds me of a author and a comic named Fran Peavy, and she wrote a book called Heart Politics, and she talked about her journey as an activist. She's somebody that went to India she committed to try to clean up the Ganges, and she also sat with a sign on her that said, American willing to listen, and she got long lines of people talking to her. But she also said, one of the things she said was, well, the comedian part, she had a joke, the people united will sometimes win and sometimes lose, which is probably true, And then the other thing she said, that if you want to change somebody, that's weird, but if you want to change somebody, they have to know you love them. And I thought, hard.
That's right.
So, thank you, Louise. A friend of mine I was speaking to these past couple of weeks kept saying, it's not that there are bad people. How do we not call people bad people? And I've been sort of struggling with that because, if someone says to a woman, stay in a domestic violence situation, to me, that feels like they're a bad person wanting someone to, stay in that situation. So I have to work with that and try to figure out how to be loving and listening or something, because there's certain things that are causing, great loss of life. So.
Thank you. One more, and then we'll go to silence.
One thing I did like watching on Search Me on about the Democratic Convention was Tim Watts, who's Kamala Harris's running mate. He has a son who's nonverbal in ADHD, and I just like how he sort of pointed out, that, and not many political people kind of help, people with, disabilities and things, and kind of spoke to my heart, and kind of seeing his son, standing up there, clapping and kind of crying and saying, "That's my dad." Yeah.
All right. Well, I think thank you so much, everybody, for sharing and then reminding us to look at the humanity of folks and how, but yet there's times when you do need to care for yourself. And we all need to do that. And there's times and places for listening to stories, and there's times and places for letting them leave the room as well. So let's take a moment of silence, and it'll be broken with a song.
So here's a song from Carole King that was on the iconic Tapestry album. The just are seeking justice, the meek are reaching out for something only children can really know about. And some people cry for mercy while they deny each other's pain. And some people laugh for reasons they can never quite explain. But we are all in this together, and maybe we'll see that one day when we conquer our fears together, when we finally find a way. And we all need forgiving for all the damage done, for the things we do not thinking, for the hurt that we cause someone. Oh, but me, I keep on living, caught somewhere in between the reason and the vision, well, the meaning and the dream. Oh, but we are all in this together, and I know it seems easy to say, but I won't use the word forever. And I can only say someday. Oh, but we are all in this together. And I know it seems easy to say, but I don't use the word forever. I can only say someday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I need my prop, which is a bucket and baskets. I guess it is really nice this week. We have challenges financially in the church that we've been struggling with, and maybe coming out of this week we can be a little more joyful about it. The good things, like we redid this place. Those are things to build on, and we're going to keep working at this. One thing, Pastor Joseph, did you want to say something about pledges, which is kind of the commitment we all make throughout the year to support the church?
Yes, as we would remember that in February, I think towards the end of February, we started again our pledging campaign. So and I think our goal was $30,000 for a year. So between February and the end of July, we had 6 months. So in those 6 months, we have collected $13,441 in pledges. So we have from September to February again would be another 6 months. So we are hoping that in that other half of the year, since we started late, we would be able to make the 30,000. Well, twice 13 is 26, so we may be getting there. But I just wanted to encourage everyone and to thank everyone for their contribution so far, and we'll carry on.
Thank you.
And here's another song or tune by Mitch.
So I'd like to sing a song about conspicuous consumerism, something that I don't think anybody here is familiar with. And it's called Things. And that's the chorus. Help me with this. Things. Oh, come on. Sing it like you really want a thing, something. I'm susceptible to guitars and electronic gear, but whatever floats your boat. Things, and then you say it again. Things, and you say it again. Things. Here's the hard part. More things. Okay, you got it. This is a song that involves a character named Charlie Goldcard. I think we all know somebody like Charlie. Charlie Goldcard, he'd been around. He tried every which way. He tried sex, he tried drugs, he tried personal growth. All of it seemed passé. He couldn't get what he wanted, so now he wants what he can buy. Down at the local shopping mall, you can hear him cry. What does he say? Things that help me forget. Are we having fun yet? I got to buy something new, more things, or else I'll be feeling too blue to keep me from seeing what this treasure hunt brings. I got to get some more things. I got to get some more things. Nobody said you couldn't dance. Give me something that'll sit in my driveway until I'm ready to ride. Something I can pull from my closet when I feel empty inside. And the bums sleeping on the shopping mall benches better get out of my way, because it's opening time. The store's got a new line. The signs on the windows say, what does it say now? Things help me forget. How much can I get? I got to buy something new, more things, or else I'll be feeling too blue to keep me from seeing what this treasure hunt brings. I got to get some more things. I got to get some more things. Last time, people. Things help me forget. Make my pants wet. I swear I'm gonna go out and buy something new, or else I'll be feeling too blue to keep me from seeing what this treasure hunt brings. I got to get some more things. I got to get some more. I got to get me an iPhone app and a Google map. I got to get another app to get rid of all my old crap. I'm gonna ride around town in my Tesla 3. I'm wearing brand new threads from Giorgio Armani. It's all S-H-I-T to me. I need things. I need things. I'm gonna get me some things. Thank you.
Can't stop laughing. That was so great. Thank you so much. And we didn't mention is Mitch has books back there for sale afterwards. So but that's one announcement. It's announcement time. So right now I see the bread. I'm not sure who's doing it. Craig, welcome. So you can take a piece of bread and pass it along, or just pass it along if you'd rather not.
I need to say, there was some inspiration when the sheet was going around the last time that I signed up for it. It was consistent with an occasion that Joe Biden had decided he wasn't going to run for office and that he would endorse his VP. And something within that struck me to say, okay, because now we're coming full circle into a serious realization that women hold up at least half the sky. And I would go so far as to say in some areas, 4/5 the sky. And so in saying that, I find it necessary to pay tribute to not just the women who have influenced this, but to those that have given birth to them. So I'd like to more or less bring out this ode to those women and the birth givers. Oh, praise bees to the spirit woman that gave birth to Candace, Queen Candace. Oh, praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Queen Amina. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Hatshepsut. Praise be to the spirit woman that gave birth to Nzinga. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Sojourner Truth. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Harriet Tubman. Great praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Viola Liuzzo. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Janet Gollery McKeithen. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Diane Nash. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Ella Baker. Praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Fannie Lou Hamer. Praise be, oh, praise be to the spirit that gave birth to Kamala.
All right, we're going to do Shower the People. That's a song written by James Taylor, and Kim and I are going to sing it, and we're going to feature Mr. Mitch Greenhill.
And everybody, you know the chorus, so.
Oh, you can play the game, you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. Oh, tell me, how can you stand there with your foolish heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another, it doesn't take any sacrifice. Father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels nice, well, don't think twice. Shower the people.
Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Things are gonna be just fine.
Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Things are gonna be much better.
Things are gonna be much better if you only will.
All right, Mitch. Yeah. Ooh, woo.
You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. Now what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone? How about you tell somebody the way that you feel? You can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease.
Here we go.
Better to shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Things are gonna be just fine.
Things are gonna be just fine if you only will. What I'd like to do to you, shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel.
Things are gonna be much better.
Things are gonna be much better if you only will.
Oh, we gotta sing that chorus
chorus again. Here we go. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be just fine if you only will.
Okay, Mitch.
Just shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Shower the people. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Shower the people. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way things are gonna work out better. Things are gonna work out better if you only will.